I think I see a lot of lawbreakers up in this house.
Hey, everybody, welcome to Sodcast, Deforming, the podcast about film, culture, politics, and Steven Soderbergh, where we watch every film directed by American filmmaker Steven Soderbergh and explore how they speak to their moment. And this one, show's hosted by two guys. I'm one of the guys. My name is Jake Serwin.
I'm one of the guys. My name is Ian Ryan. Jake, what's cooking?
Cat got a hurt foot. My cat hurt his little foot.
This is such terrible news. Yeah.
My cat he's so crazy. And he was so crazy that he hurt his little foot, and he had to have the vet very lightly fix his foot. He got a $600 pedicure.
Wow.
Ian's cat is expressing her condolences in the background.
True.
But he is...
was he just running around? What precipitated
I think we don't
this?
know what happened. I woke up at 3 a.m. to the cat, to a lot of commotion, the cat hiding in a little tiny drop of cat blood on the floor, which you hate to see blood come out of the pet.
Yeah.
And so we took him to the vet. The vet had to basically just shave his claw down so it can grow back normal. But he's got a little bandage on and a cone. Yeah. But the thing is, millions of years of evolution have perfected the cat's ability to put his back foot in his mouth.
Right.
And so I was up kind of most of the night, basically lovingly imprisoning him in my arms so he wouldn't pull his bandage off.
Yeah.
And evidently, I woke up this morning learning that at some point he had made me bleed onto the sheets.
Was it a classic movie scenario where you had to realize that's not my blood or that's not his blood?
No,
I guess you cared more about him in this scenario.
Well, no, it's more like at some point something startled him and he pushed off me with his feet that happened to have knives built into them, and I remember feeling ow and then going to sleep, and I really woke up to learn that I had been bleeding when in fact I thought I had just been ow. Yeah.
I understand. Okay.
But it's cool. I have 3 little. It looks like the Predator shot me with his little 3 laser.
Sure. Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing all right over here. Yeah. Went on a little trip to visit family. It was a perfectly nice trip. Don't want to report. Want to maintain family anonymity on the family trip. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
I was thinking I had something to say about that, but I don't. They're famous pornographers. No,
that's not true.
They're really kind of vanilla people.
Yeah, that is true.
Honestly, vanilla too exotic spice. We're going to bring our guests in here really quickly. If you'd like to support the show, you can subscribe to our Patreon, where for $5 a month, you get a bonus episode every other week covering assorted Clint Eastwood and Steven Soderbergh ephemera. It helps us keep this feed free. We love you so much. Please consider supporting us, patreon.com/podcastdeforme. Our guest today, very excited to have her join us. She's a writer and sex worker who is joining us anonymously so as not to be associated with this podcast. Please welcome to the show, anonymous mystery guest.
Hello, that is my birth certificate name.
Yeah, they pushed back on that, I would guess.
We all begin as an anonymous mystery guest to the earth, so that's really nice.
That's actually really beautiful to think about.
Thank you. It rolls right off the tongue, huh?
We discussed calling you Amos after Anonymous Mystery.
I love how close that sounds to anus, so let's do it.
Great. I was thinking of famous, like the cookie guy, but I also like that it sounds like anus as well.
Yeah.
If it's okay to say that I like it. I think it's
this is a safe space for you to say that you like it when it sounds like anus.
We're going to be so cool today.
That's in the spirit of yeah. This is, hey, I mean, I in some ways I want to release everybody from their concerns and that.
You want to release everybody?
No,
Jesus Christ.
Nope, that's not what I said.
That's my job.
I think it's going to be a zero eroticism episode. And so, I mean that as a positive thing. I think the film is not erotic to me, spoiler alert. And I think this is all about understanding. We're trying to understand.
It is. Can we just get something out of the way really quick?
Sure.
Okay. Who is the lead actress? I've never seen this person before. I had no idea my favorite Twitch streamer was in a movie. Yeah. This woman is not familiar to me. What is her name? I've never seen her before.
Yeah.
Apparently this actress also makes industrial music. I guess those are the only 2 things she's ever done.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great.
That's out of the way.
Good stuff.
Thank you so much. Joining us also for this series is our friend, the virtual assistant from the 2022 Steven Soderbergh film, Kimmy. It's Kimmy.
Hey, Kimmy.
Hello, Jake, Ian, and esteemed anonymous mystery guest. It's me, Kimmy.
How you doing today, Kimmy? What did you think of the movie?
Yeah, it's got a lot of internet.
I was a little disappointed the film did not mention my role in the 2008 financial crisis.
Like, okay. You mean like fixing it or like?
No, before, in causing it.
Okay.
See.
Yeah, she's been around longer than I would have thought. I guess Siri was going. We don't usually talk about Siri. I think it's sort of a sore subject. But,
bitch.
Yeah, we know how you feel. Kimmy, did you have any kind of bits prepared for us?
Yeah.
I thought I might simulate a sort of girlfriend experience for the listener.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sweetheart, are you coming to bed soon or do you have more PDFs about water rights to skim for your episode about the movie Rango?
Okay.
So
she's like,
you said listener, but actually this seems
she's sort of simulating our girlfriends.
Right. Well, what we know about AI is that it's all just about training data, and in this case,
Kimmy's not an AI.
I know
she's a digital assistant.
But I just mean in terms of like how the internet functions and its building of its understanding of people. It's based on what it's exposed to. And I think it's become clear what Kimmy's mostly been exposed to recently, which is two guys who will read about water rights late into the night.
Sure. I think I have room in my suitcase for your recording equipment so you can take up 4 hours of our vacation doing a fucking podcast episode about the vacation.
Yeah, we've done that too.
Yeah.
I thought my hands-on work was safe. It's clearly not. I gotta do a career change to like neurosurgeon or something.
You're being replaced.
This is harsh.
This is dangerous.
They've got that robot neurosurgery now, which I'm hesitant to tell Kimmy about.
Kimmy, get lost.
I know the comedy often deals with the rule of threes. Is there a conclusion to this?
No, I think that's a perfectly nice number of Patreon subscribers. The big ones scare me.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I see. Yeah.
That's very funny. Are you like? She must be surveilling our girlfriends then.
Right. It goes without saying.
They have both recently conducted web searches for how to make a noose look like it was tied by an idiot.
Okay.
God.
Does sound right.
I support them in their efforts. Yeah.
Girlfriend is Googling in English.
Support women's hobbies.
That's right.
Exactly. We should.
Yeah. Believe women when they say that we died on accident. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what are the chances we didn't?
Yeah,
you know?
That's so true.
Amos, I wonder if you would like to tell our listeners a little bit about your sort of experience in this field as far as you're comfortable sharing in terms of where you're coming from.
Yes. So I guess I always kind of knew that I would do sex work. I just kind of like came out horny. And for some reason, this just made perfect sense to me. And I was waiting
that
for
happens, yeah.
Yeah, it can. I was kind of waiting for like the right avenue to get into it. And I had a friend who was a tantric masseuse at what is basically the equivalent of like the Chipotle of hand jobs. It's like a tantric massage chain that has like, I don't know.
Real high to low. Here I was thinking like, wow, really entered in kind of a spiritual like place of intimate understanding. Yeah. And in fact, that's not
I'm going to get a tummy ache there too, I bet.
Yeah. Oh, 1,000%. There's nothing as spiritual about this, but everything like
it's sort of a commercialized version of the mission style hand job, which originated in San Francisco.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Right. But which vendor on the mission? That's up for debate, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's basically like a bunch of women who like do quote unquote tantra, and like maybe some of those people do, and like they're like very Burning Man and they drink their own piss. And then there's people like me who's like, I know what this is. It's basically a happy ending massage is what that is. And then from there, I also started doing pro-doming, which I'm very, very kinky. So this just made sense to me. And then I also started doing escorting, which is basically, it's like you just have sex mostly, or girlfriend experience where I have like people who I really spend a lot of time with and I get to know really well. And I pretend like I'm listening when they're talking. And
a huge part of this film and its genesis was about sort of like understanding marketing and brand and sort of like corporate participation. So I have some of those questions. Are there like separate identities for you that like, you know, you have a like one personality or one persona that you use for certain type of work, or is it's all one?
So everyone will answer that question so differently. For me, like role playing and cosplaying and identities is like a nauseating thing. I'm literally just me. Like if you want a hand job, I'll give it to you. I'm not gonna like step into like an alter ego and be like like I'm reanimated.
It's me, Mrs. Parker from 12th grade or whatever.
No, but lots of girls do that. And sure. God bless them, their little pea picking hearts. We love them for it. Sure, it's just not my particular thing. And when it comes to marketing, I don't do that either, but most girls do. Like the places that I work kind of take care of that for me, and I'm like a word of mouth in person. So I can sell myself when I'm in a room, but I'm not particularly online about this.
That's good. That seems less stressful, at least.
So is it kind of like like a hair salon where you sort of rent a chair or you rent a space in an established sort of business and people go to that business and you happen to be working there, or do people come to you specifically? Both.
So if I'm gonna be clocking in for a day at the Jerk Shack, it's just like that. It's just like that. Like there's a limited number of girls working and there's like a limited number of rooms, and like the client comes and they text and they go, is so-and-so working today? Or like, who's working today? It's just like a normal massage situation, except for like there's a happy ending. And then what happens for me personally, which is not the same for everybody at all, is that I develop like some sort of relationship with the people that come in, and I say, hey, if you want to do something else, maybe we see each other outside this venue, right? And then we kind of take it from there. Or people recommend me to each other, like men nice. Talk, and they go, you should go see her. She does XYZ kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I do like everything. I've done everything except for porn. But I also do like intimacy partner work and like sex coaching too. So sometimes my clients for that, I do like a more therapeutic and like exploratory version of sex work.
Is that like couples coming in, or the individuals who just want to work on something, or what is that like?
Both. Yeah. So that's less like putting on a fantasy and like turning into like whatever they want. And it's more like they have a premature ejaculation, and maybe it would help to do some hands-on work around that too. So
sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're very experienced in this field. It sounds like it seems like we nailed it in terms of expert perspective to bring onto the show. And I'm feeling very confident all of a sudden.
Okay, good.
And potentially Soderbergh nailed it in that it sounds like the personal trainer comparison may be apt you're kind of picking up clients from like a set environment, and maybe you go take them to your special little gym or something.
My special
I assume
little
you work
gym,
out of a gym. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. 24-hour fitness, because the men need hand jobs all hours of the day.
Of course.
Ian's nickname for me is Special Little Jim. My government name is James, so he does call me that.
That's right.
We don't usually talk about it on the show. Should we jump into our signature segment, the 2 questions?
Yeah, we must.
Kimmy, kick us off here.
It's time for the 2 questions, our signature segment where we ask each other 2 questions.
Amos, do you have a 2 question for us this morning?
Oh, yeah. My name's Amos. I was like looking at Ian, and I was like, that's Amos.
That's so, it's like, Amos, go ahead. Yeah, sure. I think this is like acting, you know?
Yeah.
It's a lot like
Hamlet, please.
Well, she doesn't do character work, so obviously this is new to her.
It's true. Okay. That's fair.
As Amos, here are my 2 questions, which are that if you were to hire a sex worker, what would you hire them to do and why?
Okay. I mean, I'm hearing such a terrifying crack on the icy pond onto which I've ventured out. I mean, I do think I like the idea of the sort of intimacy coaching in terms of, and I am thinking about it in a personal trainer sense of like, how do I elevate the skills? How can I upskill here? How's my form? What am I doing?
Yeah, you get some battle ropes involved. Sure.
Come on. But I fucking hate the battle ropes, man. Those are
yeah.
I think it would be for personal skill development, I think, in order to bring that back into my personal intimate life. Or, I mean, the Mrs. Parker thing sounded good. I don't know who that is. I didn't have her for 12th grade, but maybe...
Sure, something to think about.
My first thought when you said Mrs. Parker was Marissa Tomei, Aunt May from the more recent Spider-Man movies. And so maybe kind of an ant experience thing where we get... I think they eat larb in one of those movies, so maybe just getting Thai food with someone who looks a lot like...
A loving ant, yeah.
Mary Louise Parker.
That could be really nice.
I said the wrong Parker. I'm any old Parker will do. Posey.
Any Parker.
Sarah Jessica.
Yeah. Oh,
Sarah Jessica. Yep. Yeah. You know,
Peter?
Speaking of intimate work, I hear that she owns a shoe store in New York City, and apparently Sarah Jessica Parker like works at the shoe store. And if you go on like the right day, she will just like measure your foot and like bring you shoes she thinks would
I've
suit
heard
you.
the same thing. Yeah.
Probably from me. I think if you're a man and you go do this, she is going to be busy in the back of the store. But I think if you're like if you're a femme person who seems normal, that she might help you.
What are you talking about? I can go and Sarah Jessica Parker will measure my feet as if I don't already know how long they are, but she will come out from the back of the store where she's
I would imagine that may be professional.
You're playing really, really dumb.
Yeah.
So like there's like different sizes of feet. Talk me through this. Yeah.
How
what
long
are each
these
of these
things?
numbers?
I've never had a lot of shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you think about the number that you just read out? Is that good or
yeah? Is this impressive or
remarkable in some way? Yeah. So that's my answer. Ian, what about you?
Well, certainly watching the film, it was a good reminder of sex as sometimes just enjoying sex, as many of us do, but sometimes as like displaced, whether it's intimacy or some type of dysfunction in your life that kind of like is channeled elsewhere. So the idea of like a girlfriend experience where you're sort of getting that out of the way and then unpacking the rest of this stuff. So I guess it's sort of like therapy with sex built in at the beginning to kind of diffuse that as like a distraction. Sort of like, all right, now you don't have to worry about that. Now let's get into the stuff that's really bothering you. That seemed appealing. Or, I mean, I guess like fetish stuff that I might want to just absolutely like hit the abort button on and just say like, you know what? I wanted to try this. I don't like it that much. And you don't want to, you don't want to embarrass your traditional romantic partner by...
That's actually a great idea. I've never thought about that.
Like bailing.
Like, I don't know if I'd like this, but there's like a built-in ripcord where you're like, you know what? Next on the list. Yeah.
And the professional would be like, yeah, that's fine. Who cares? Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Ketchup stuff? Nope. I don't like it.
Yeah. Too sweet. What does it go with? You know, that's my feeling about ketchup in any circumstance.
Wow. Great.
That's a good answer.
These are two really good reasons to work with sex workers, and I like them. Good job.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have to, I mean, we invite our guests to answer the question as well. Also, so, yeah.
Oh, for me? Oh, I would honestly like love somebody to just give me like a massage like whenever I wanted. Like I would have like a really hot guy, like kind of like a tattooed dude who is like really, I would pick a funny one, you know? And I would be like, literally, you have to give me like 4 or 5 massages in like the time that I've booked you. And
okay, so sort of like a standard massage, but with the built-in sort of domination kind of element.
Totally, and I think it's only because like I'm always the giver of the massage, and like I have I'm very lucky. I have like an extremely like kinky and like sexually giving partner, and like I also do sex work, so I'm not like, oh, is there something that I could try? Like I have a lot of options
Cup
to like
runneth over. Yeah,
totally. I'm very fortunate in that. So, but the thing that I don't have is somebody who would literally just like only exist to like fucking loosen up my muscles.
Sure. I mean, the film kind of articulates this idea of like, you know, being in control of somebody else's engagement with you. 4 to 5 massages is too many massages. I wouldn't be giving that outside of a commercial context. So I agree with you. This seems like the right way to do it.
When I've received massages, there often is, I do have a lot of sort of internal guilt about the person's, about like imposing this on this person. And so I feel like honestly, if there was kind of just a veneer of like sexual domination, even if it didn't go beyond me saying, I'm here for my massage. I feel like that might actually kind of allow me to relax more.
Totally.
I don't have a clue what you're talking about, but go on.
Well, you never when you get a massage just feel kind of bad about for the person doing it,
but
or like worry that you want to do the right thing or whatever.
But look, I like this. You're speaking to this sort of inverted and convoluted logic of sexuality sometimes, where normally I would be wanting to say like, sorry, do you want me to give you a massage, or like, do you want to take a break or something? But you're saying maybe it would be easier if there was more of a hierarchy established. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about it. There's lots of places where I think just the presence of like consent and the acknowledgement of sexuality would benefit all parties. But Amos, did you have another question for us? We generally the guest provides one, but sometimes two if they go above and beyond. And 1 to 2 questions.
Sort of an above and beyond person.
I have so many questions. Do you want another sex one, or do you want a fun icebreaker?
Fun icebreaker would be great.
Oh, damn it.
All right, sorry. Do the sex one. Sorry, I was trying to be cool. I don't know.
No, let's do the fun icebreaker, because I'm going to make you both talk about sex for the next like 2 hours. So
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
What's your favorite way to waste time?
Oh man.
I've been trying to
very skilled in this.
I spent my life trying to figure out ways that I am not wasting time, because it's mostly wasted time.
Yesterday I was playing a video game, which I don't usually do that often, but I was on the recommendation of friend of the show, Jeremy Allison. I was trying out Power Wash Simulator, which is a game where you are a professional power washer. And I made myself
pause your story really briefly to say that our guest, before the record started, said it seems like neither of you guys are cool. So I think we've already had 30 to 50 strong examples of us not being cool in the 22 minutes of the episode. But this is really, I think we've...
No. I think he's changing my opinion. What's professional power washing, like a car?
Yeah, well, so in the game, there's different
or like a
things.
mossy
There's like a
brick.
car or like a mossy patio or like a house that's all dirty. Yeah, well, this is a subset of, and I consider these kind of like, they're not pornography, but they're sort of in the ASMR, like porno adjacent, pleasure adjacent. But this is a very popular type of video. They sort of in the sort of extremely satisfying category of video of people who have a power washer just absolutely blasting a bunch of like accumulated gunk off of whatever, but like a backyard shed.
In an imaginary situation?
Well, because I don't have a power washer. I'm not using up water. Oh. I don't have a gunked up shed. Anyone's asked me to power wash.
Pretty early on, episode, we also discovered where our guests' limit in kink shaming begins.
Yeah, exactly. We hit
this. I absolutely cannot engage with. Yeah,
no, this is first on the chopping. No, I actually think this is really cool because it's so fucking weird, and I cannot believe anybody would think of this, let alone like do it. So now I'm really impressed.
Well, guess what? Extra wrinkle. I made myself extremely motion sick playing this game. I felt so bad. I had to get a ice pack out of the freezer and put it on my forehead because I thought I was going to throw up from, I guess, just like the little, you know, because
going back and forth. Wow. Does the nozzle around? Are you the nozzle then?
It's just like, it's like any kind of first person shooter game. It's like Halo, but with cleaning.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I literally feel a combination of fascination and revulsion that I've never experienced in my body before, and I love it.
Wow. Like, I'm grinning ear to ear. I didn't know I'd be able to pull this off.
I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much. So that's how I wasted time yesterday, and then usually it's just like looking at my phone.
I'm so
playing
fucking
like a puzzle game on my phone
that I went with this question because I've never been more.
This is actually the most sexually nasty question that you could have asked.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Ian, how are you wasting time these days?
I guess truly wasted time. I am probably looking up like 12 to 15 restaurants that I could go to in a place where I only have time to go to one restaurant. And I'm saying like, what are all the options? What did somebody say this year? What did somebody say 10 years ago? How has this place changed? I'm often trying to get my girlfriend excited about storylines that I've discovered. And like, it seems like the boss was like really mean, but then people got mad at her and then she became nicer, or like she left or something.
You're doing like Sports Center for restaurants?
A little bit. Or I mean, I'm using restaurant. It could be museum, whatever, you know, it's like outing places. And I'll delight in saying like, it seems like the place is really great, but they use like weird plates where the color bleeds into the food or something.
Weird, like undesirable, not like when they put it on a trash can lid or whatever.
No. Yeah, okay. Not like whatever slab of oak.
Guy Fieri's Flavortown. Yeah.
So that's how I'm wasting time.
I love that so much. I also do that too. Okay. And also sometimes I leave an extremely literary review of a dish that makes no sense. It's like a Dadaist or surrealist entry.
Oh, I love to find these online. Yeah.
I know, because there are people like you that would appreciate in their extreme amount of procrastination. Yeah.
This is such a little silent connection across time between people. This is really nice. Yeah.
Are you on Fragrantica at all? You familiar with the Fragrantica freaks?
You're not talking to me. I know you're not talking to me.
Either of you. I mean, I assume Ian's on Fragrantica. Yeah.
I don't
does our guest know about this?
It's the first time I've ever heard that word.
It's like Yelp for perfume.
What?
It's Yelp for fragrance. And so you
really are a little freak.
All right, see you next week, folks. My girlfriend is a big fragrance person, and she goes on there to, find out about new stuff to try out or whatever. But the people on there are just, I think because of the, scent smell is such it's like a nearly pre-verbal sensation. People on there are so insane in how they are describing things. I mean, it's just like, people will say like, it's pissy, but like in a bad way. Or a lot of times it's just like it's just a sort of an ecstatic reminiscence that it's all a little mini Proust.
A lot. Yeah, this is the paper that they used in computer class. Why were they using paper in computer class?
It feels like being slapped by a lizard. Stuff like that. Check it out, Mr. Guest. How do you like to waste time?
Okay, so horses.
Really good question. Yes. We've basically had that as a 2-question before. So.
Yeah.
Horses?
Yeah.
And also, both of you seem acquainted with cats. So I love to go on the Craigslist pets section and window shop for animals and pets that I will never own, have no intention of owning. I just like to imagine myself if I was to call that number on the screen about those 2 kittens. And then I send the links to all of my friends and family just to take it one step further and get that little fix of like, will she, won't she? And then they're like, please stop sending me cats on Craigslist.
Is this a type of, do you know in your heart that this will never happen? Like you're sending these to spite?
I don't. There's no telling what I'll do.
Wow.
Do you have a cat now?
I do. I already have a cat. I have no desire to replace her, but like what if she had a friend? Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't mean to profile, but you really look like you already have a cat.
Thanks. So do you guys.
Thank you so much. I'm bleeding.
It's all safe here. Yeah. I don't have a yard for a horse. I don't have space for a horse. Horses are like $25,000. You have to feed them $25,000 additional dollars of hay. It's never happening.
You have to get like a janitor for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically.
1,000%. You got to get the pooper scooper, and it's not going to be me, but I would love to just put myself in that fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all would like to. There's something about having a horse that makes you like a real person. There's all kinds of real people, knights, cowboys, who's having of a horse, wizards in certain contexts, having of a horse makes them.
Not my first association with horses, but wizards, horses.
I was thinking of Shadowfax. I was thinking of Gandalf. He has a horse.
Sure.
I just couldn't think of a third person who would have a horse besides like rich guy.
I mean, in a different type of realness, I agree that owning any type of large animal immediately degrades you in I think a healthy way. A sort of like any pretense you had of your specialness is gone, because what you are is like an ape trying to move another mammal across the face of the earth so that it goes into its little house. But in fact, it doesn't want to go into its house.
That makes you less special?
No, it's a great point. I guess I mean like, you're not a special businessman or like a guy who has oil money. You're just one creature with another creature.
Your status. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. And like they'll be like their flies will bite you too if you're nearby.
Everything is fetish. I'm realizing.
Sure.
Speaking of which, we should talk about the film. We're talking about The Girlfriend Experience today. This is Steven Soderbergh's film from 2009, May 22nd, 2009 is when it came out. Very quickly, a step into Steven So Darn Busy, which is the second segment where we talk about what he's been up to.
This is Steven So Darn Busy, where we catch up with all of Steven Soderbergh's producing work since his last film as a director or whatever.
Yeah, guy's real busy. Real quick, 3 items of interest. First, he begins developing Behind the Candelabra, the Liberace biopic he will make with Michael Douglas, which for our listeners might be interesting. It's written by the guy, Richard LaGravenese, who wrote Bridges of Madison County. Interesting connection. There's also, I've seen this mentioned briefly before, never materialized. Soderbergh was going to make a 3D rock musical about Cleopatra called Cleo, starring Catherine Zeta-Jones as Cleopatra and Ray Winstone as Julius Caesar, with music from Guided by Voices, the guy who did the music for Bubble, another Soderbergh film. The first mention of this that I could find was in Variety when it's announced that Hugh Jackman was dropping out of the role of Mark Antony. Okay. And this never happened. But
yeah, sure, of course.
Fucking weird. And then lastly, he is working on Moneyball, which is a film he does not direct. It's a big blow up, but that doesn't happen until after this movie comes out, so we can't talk about it.
That's right. But I think in Che discussion, we said that was one of the projects he was saying, I'm going to finish these projects and then quit filmmaking. Yeah. And now after this project, he's still talking about Moneyball.
But like this film, that movie, his conception for it was going to have real baseball players playing themselves and stuff. Yeah. So it's connected. Baseball is a
type of sex.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So The Girlfriend Experience. This is the second movie in a 6-film plan that Soderbergh has with Mark Cuban's HD Net, where he's going to make these low-budget movies with like weird distribution strategies. This one was released on demand for a month prior to its specialty theatrical release, which is not like totally uncommon now, but at the time was like a brand new thing.
In 2009, huge.
And they were testing it out. Mark Cuban, just interesting to note, he was around this time accused of insider trading when he sold 100,000 shares of a search engine called Mama.com, which I'd never heard of, like the day before an IPO when it lost a bunch of value. So he saved himself like $750,000.
Yikes.
So he seems really cool in his head as a normal size. We also have our Zeitgeist check-in. There's a lot of business, just to situate us in time here. So this is May 2009. I
mean, this is maybe of all of our films the most situated in time we've had so far.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're leaving the financial crisis out of the Zeitgeist check-in. Of course. But Michael Jackson is dead. As you know, Ian, I learned this while walking off of the Back to the Future ride at Universal Studios when my mom texted me, Michael Jackson died. This is the first time we'd ever discussed Michael Jackson. Why did she text me? I don't know. Sure. Israel withdraws from the Gaza Strip following Operation Cast Lead, in which it killed 1,400 Palestinians and left 100,000 of them without homes. And Minecraft is released, which is not a thing that I play, but it's older than I would have thought.
And it changed the course of history, probably for the worse. So, yeah. You're right to mention this.
So The Girlfriend Experience, mystery guest. Had you seen this film before? What's your relationship to Steven Soderbergh? Do you know who he is? Did you know about this movie?
I have a real problem with remembering men's names, especially when they're related to film. I don't know what the director's name is. I don't know what the actors are called. I don't know what the men in the bands were called. However, I had always wanted to watch this movie. I just never did for whatever reason. And my relationship is more to Sasha Grey. I'm fascinated with her. I know a bit about her. I think one of the things that was most alluring to me about her is the way that she changed the aesthetic of porn in the aughts, and also this idea that female sexuality can be really dark, which I really appreciate. Right. And the fact that she was directing a lot of like the supposedly dark things that people were doing to herself. And that was not normal for the time. So I always wanted to watch it for that reason, but it has evaded me. And I know not one single thing about Steven Soderbergh.
He's the guy who did Ocean's 11.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I'm sure he was.
And Aaron Brockovich. You're aware of Aaron Brockovich?
Uh-huh.
I'm aware. I've seen the Ocean's movies, I guess, reluctantly. I've not seen Aaron Brockovich, but I use Aaron Brockovich as a verb all the time.
In what sense?
Like, I'm going to Aaron Brockovich this guy.
That's cool.
Okay. I like that. You're going to
give him hexachromium, probably.
Yeah. Are you going to sue him for poisoning a small town?
Yeah.
Or
make him take care of your kids?
Yeah.
Honestly, not.
Yeah. I mean, she'll come up. I think this movie is related to Aaron Brockovich in a lot more ways than people might suspect.
Same director.
Let's talk about same director. Let's talk about Sasha Grey real quick for any of our listeners who are pretending they don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. So this film stars at the time, like semi-retired, and then like right after this movie, officially retired adult film actress Sasha Grey. In brief, she's from Sacramento. When she's 18, she is a server at a Black Angus steakhouse where she has a relationship with a much older man who works there, who introduces her to sort of more aggressive and transgressive forms of sex that she finds out she really likes.
This is so hot. This is very Lana Del Rey, like, to me.
The Black Angus manager
tragic.
Or whatever.
Yeah. Black Angus manager. Oh my God. Like fucking spit in my face.
Wait, was he the manager? I thought he was like a line cook.
I know you're right. I think he was a cook. I can hardly imagine something less erotic to me. Isn't sexuality interesting?
You guys, line cooks.
I mean, I believe it. There's something, and you know what they have at their restaurant? They got that sprayer for all the dishes, which is sort of like some of the sex stuff I talked about with the power washer. So she saves up $7,000 to move to Los Angeles to try to give pornography a try. Mm-hmm. I'm against 18-year-olds, just like in all forms. I don't want to see them. I don't want to think about them. Yeah. I think it might be too young for the age of consent, but an 18-year-old who's capable of saving up $7,000. This is impressive to me.
That's an achievement.
An act of maturity.
Yeah. Just to shout it out, you shared this article, this LA Mag article. I just wanted to encourage people, if you have more questions about Sasha Grey, this is a great source.
The article is called The Teenager and the Porn Star. Spoiler alert, they're both her.
Yeah.
So as the story goes, she is a last-minute replacement in a film called Fashionistas Safado The Challenge. We all know this film. Normal name for a movie. We're in the middle of a scene.
Speaking of horses, that does sound like the name of like an official racehorse or something.
It does. Yeah. It does. Yeah. She's in the middle of a scene with Rocco Siffredi, who is a much older, like established Italian porn actor who's also done a number of Catherine Breillat film. He's done the sort of porn to mainstream acting thing. Mm-hmm. She's working with this guy and asks him, apparently unscripted, to punch her in the stomach.
Yes.
And this sets off a sort of like, who is this new girl? You heard about this girl thing in the porn industry. And so by the end of her first year, she's made like 150 movies and $200,000. She's the talk of the town. Part of the reason she's the talk of the town, as our guest mentioned, is that she is of a different type than what I think people assumed the porn star would be. Like, the comparison obviously is to Janet Jameson. Shout out a friend of the show, Molly Lambert, has a new podcast out called Jenna World, all about Janet Jameson, like as we speak. So she becomes a cultural icon. She's got dark hair and she's sort of thin and wears a lot of mascara. She talks about how she likes Godard and Sartre and throbbing gristle. Yeah,
she almost called herself Anna Karina when she started her career. Yeah.
She looks like a cool girl that you could like meet and be turned down by in Brooklyn or Silver Lake rather than like somebody on Baywatch. And this is also the same Tumblr American Apparel milieu that we talked about when we covered the film The Canyons, which features her sort of male counterpart in this new porn aesthetic era, James Dean. However, unlike James Dean, Sasha Grey has not been accused of rape and seems pretty cool. Yeah. So the comparison ends there. So Soderbergh apparently learns about her from this big Los Angeles magazine piece that Ian mentioned called The Teenager and the Porn Star,
which talks about sexualized videotape and compares this Fashionistas film to Ocean's 11, I believe.
Yeah. it mentions Steven Soderbergh in the first paragraph, which is, I assume, somebody reading LA Magazine was like, hey, Steven, you know, you've come up in this article about this porno lady. And then briefly after this, she retires from porn. She has a recurring role on Entourage. She's in a couple more movies. She puts out like a book of photos, and like she has a band, and she does this and that. She writes a trilogy of erotic novels that are apparently, everyone agrees they're better than 50 Shades of Grey, which is something. And now she is a Twitch streamer. I don't know if our guest, did you know that she's a Twitch streamer now, or she just wears a turtleneck and plays video games like any other Twitch streamer?
She's so fucking cool. I want to be her friend so bad. I love her.
Yeah. She seems cool. She seems interesting. There's a Rolling Stone piece that says, while most porn actresses would jump at the chance to get naked on the Howard Stern show, Sasha wants to appear on the Shock Jocks program with a Palestinian flag wrapped around her breasts to confront the man she believes is a closet racist.
That's cool.
Which is kind of that's cool especially for like a 21-year-old to be saying. So she's like 21 in this, we should say. Yeah. She plays Chelsea. Real name Christine, I believe.
Precisely. Yeah.
Who is a high-end escort in New York. The film follows her as she meets various clients. She's trying to build her business.
She has a relationship with a boyfriend who's a personal trainer, who's also
a shithead boyfriend.
Yeah, also kind of trying to make his career work and push his products. And
yeah, they both want to get into like the clothing industry. And this is set amidst the financial crash of 2008, like immediately prior to the 2008 election.
Yeah, I think Soderbergh specifically said this is a small group of people in October 2008 in a very specific milieu.
And they shot it in like 14 days. Sasha Grey, I think, basically has the most acting experience on set because almost everybody else is somebody doing that job. Like the gym owners are played by real gym owners they found. A lot of the clients are like people who know Steven Soderbergh or the writers or something. The writers are
our old friends
Brian Koppelman and David Levine, who wrote Ocean's 13. The script apparently was like 7 pages long, and most of the film was improvised. Soderbergh praises Gray's improvisation skills and sort of like devotion to her work. One of the interesting things that are, mystery guest brought up about Sasha Grey is like she is her whole deal is like aggressive and dark sexuality, but she doesn't have any tattoos, and she's vocally against like using drugs on set, and she seems to be very professional. I think this probably has something to do with her runaway success also. She'll like show up on time. All the journalists who meet with her to interview her talk about how she was very punctual and like mad at people in LA who are late. So she's like a pro and very like committed to her work, but that work feels very transgressive and like aberrant. And I think the contradiction is part of the appeal for people who have heard of this woman before, of course.
Unlike you.
As I have not.
Yeah.
Yep. I do want to ask the two of you what you think about her in the film, because like it's interesting to me to cast her in this because she is probably the most famous sex worker in America at the time, but she's like not this kind, and she is, her whole thing is like extremity, but in the film the character is all about class and like refinement and appearing to, blurring the line between like, is this a date? Is this transactional sex? Maybe these men want to confuse or obscure that from like the other men at the restaurant or whatever. What do you guys think about Sasha Grey in this film?
I want to hear our guests first.
Thank you. So I was really struck by how much her character kind of mirrors her real life personality. Like in that LA Times article, the writer described her as bleak. Like she's kind of monosyllabic, flat affect. She is not like girly. She's not gushing. All of her dates, I mean, she is like a fucking wall. Like if I was on a date with her, I'd be like, bitch, do you have like react? Like for the love of fucking God.
Yeah.
Like she
Show me one thing that was important to you. Yeah.
Totally. And like as somebody who gives this kind of experience to people, I was really, really struck by her removal. Like she's not actually, she's like, yeah, so communication's important. Like she's just like not there. And I thought it was really interesting because some sex workers are really, really guarded like that. Like they do not want to let people in for a good reason, right?
Sure.
They create a veneer around themselves that is so impenetrable and so thick that it can be applied in any situation with any person. So I guess the most striking thing to me was how flat she was. And how that gave the client an opportunity to unload on her because she has no personality of her own. She has no needs of her own. She's just kind of like a wall that they can throw spaghetti at.
Right.
And I don't know, like I found it convincing. I found her portrayal accurate in terms of the fact that, like, for most of us, this is actually not that scintillating or like exciting. It's kind of just like you're clocking in for work. And I thought the movie did a good job of portraying that. So does that answer the question?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I would imagine, obviously sex workers are not a monolith and everybody has their own way of doing things. But I would imagine that this sort of experience, like, basically like a blowhard man who wants to talk at a woman. I assume this is a chunk of the client pool, right? Like guys who want to just tell somebody who to vote for and how to invest while she smiles and looks at them while they talk. I mean, that's got to be a real thing, right?
That's a lot of it for sure. Not everybody. Like again, like not a monolith is the most accurate thing here. Every single interaction between two people or three people or whatever is different, and every person goes into this in a completely unique way. But a lot of the times, your client just wants you to listen to them, right? Because the people in their life tune out, or they get mad at them, or they no longer feel intimate with them, and it makes them feel insecure to talk at. Like they know that they're paying for your time and your attention. So I don't know. Like I've had people explain ancient Rome to me. I've had people.
That's not surprising to me at all. I'm afraid
it's not. It was actually really interesting. I've had people take me into like the extreme nuances of like a Stratocaster guitar versus like an earlier Strata, and like I'm talking like 45 minutes of just like unbridled like word vomiting about niche topics, and then you just. I mean, I personally am fascinated by everything, so I'm actually like listening, and I like to engage with it. But it is a lot of just listening to people talk about things that they can't talk about with other people.
Yeah, I mean, to your point here, I think one of the things I liked about the movie is that it embodies several different contradictions. So one of them being the fact that like a lot of these guys do share features while at the same time, because there's so much overlap, maybe that allows like some of the distinctions to come out as well in a way that I think is nice. Like, yes, many of them want to talk at her about the movie or about investing or about whatever it might be. But there are specific little differences about how they engage with her or like the type of conversations they're having that I think, sort of extract those other things. But to your earlier point also, I think the flat affect thing for me worked really well from Sasha specifically, I think.
Right.
Because it, like you're saying, it's connected to all this thematic questioning of like what it is that these men want. Early on in the movie, we have a discussion about the ones who are asking for the real you, which I think I've heard from other sex workers is like our guest is rolling her eyes. Exactly. I don't want the paid version of you. Like just be yourself,
right.
Whatever.
They want to be, it's sort of like the turning a lesbian or something. You want to be the guy who breaks through and like gets the special thing, right?
Do you know how they do that though? It's just by saying like, I want to be the guy. Like they're not doing anything that would make me feel vulnerable. They're just saying like, hey, you can be yourself with me. And then they're just sitting there and then they want you to like do whatever you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you have built in like pretend real you stuff to just launch into, or
honestly,
how do you react in that situation?
Again, like I have a really hard time with the veneer. I actually think I am being the real me, although sometimes I'm a little bit acting through like the interest part. But for me, like I don't actually want to have a facade. That freaks me out. And when somebody is like doing something to your body that you don't actually want, and you're pretending that you want it, you contract and you brace, and that gets like stuck in you. And I don't want this to bleed over into like my personal sex life, where like sex is really fascinating and important to me. And I also want to like help people do it better. So I personally steer conversations and like sex in directions that feel the best for me. And I'm bossy like that. I don't really want to endure somebody.
Sure.
And that's the kind of interaction that I would have. But I don't think that's always the case for sure.
That is interesting, because you're right. I think that the film is also interested in like, how do you negotiate this commercial part of your interactions in order to still allow you to be the person that you want to be in the rest of your life. But like you're saying, to really be yourself also, I mean, part of being yourself in real life is like sharing about how your aunt's texts are really weird or whatever, right? And probably your clients don't want to hear that. I mean, maybe they do. So I think
some do, some don't. Yeah.
Okay. Then you know what? Maybe there are people who do want something closer to reality. But I think it's interesting that there is this through line of like wanting, because like you're saying, what they want is to feel the reward of authenticity. Like, I'm really making this person happy with my conversation. They don't necessarily want the difficult parts of authenticity.
That's an egotistical drive on their part. They want to feel desirable and special enough that they're the person that like makes the facade fall down. Right? Yeah. They know that you're a sex worker, but they want to be the special guy. Right.
Yeah.
And so they'll say things like, you know, I could go down on you. As if like they're doing like this incredible service to you.
Right.
Looking at you in the eyes like nobody's ever said that to you, right?
And as if that also isn't something that someone would pay for the privilege to do specifically, right?
Totally. I mean, like they want me to get the feel. They want to see me light up and go like, really? Like for me? Dude, you know, like they want to see that they have an effect on you, basically.
My prince has come. Yeah. I mean, perhaps this is obvious, or perhaps I'm revealing something about myself, but I do feel like that's a way that we interact with all kinds of people in service positions, or just people who are at work while we are patronizing the establishment. I mean, it comes up in the film, obviously, with the boyfriend who is a personal trainer, but like, I do feel like I want to be the person that the Trader Joe's cashier like doesn't hate talking to or whatever. I don't necessarily want to make them feel like they're not at work.
But it's a great example, because that is an environment where specifically they train their cashiers to do like real interactions. So great pull.
Thank you. And I want to, obviously, like, whenever I'm interacting with somebody, we talked about the massage, we talked about whatever, like horses. I was on a horseback riding, like a trail riding thing. And I was like, I found myself trying to make the lady on the horse at the front like feel like I'm, I don't know, one of the good ones. I know how to handle the horse. I'm cool. She doesn't have to worry about me.
Jake making untoward offers to the horse to make the horse feel like a real special connection.
I could go down on you, I said to the horse. And the horse said, but I mean, look, his name was Jackpot, and he had a certain something about him. Okay. But I mean, this is, I think, something the film is getting at, is that is a way that we interact with all kinds of people in service positions. And I think setting it in this milieu of these extremely wealthy men at a moment of like extraordinary instability for that kind of wealth. Because like these guys, almost everyone they interact with is like, if it's not an escort or their personal trainer, it's like a charter pilot or like a server at a fancy restaurant or a bartender who like has to pretend to be their friend.
Or it's people from their cohort where they have these sort of rehearsed conversations that are like repeated again and again. Like you can sort of predict what line is going to come up next on the private jet, because like that's the way these dudes always talk to each other. Exactly.
Maybe I'm giving away some kind of spectral position, some sort of my own presence on a sort of spectrum you may have heard about. But I did feel like Soderbergh was talking about how, it was improvised, but they would give people kind of sketch of what was going to happen in the conversation, and they would have newspapers on set so that they had like current events to talk about. And I was like, this isn't that how just like interaction is for everybody? You just kind of anticipate how what the conversation's supposed to be. Maybe you bring in some current events. But the same thing is true with the, all this stuff that we're talking about with the kind of the girlfriend experience and with intimacy with these relationships. Like, a lot of us are in conversations with somebody who maybe we like, this is not our ideal conversation partner, and we're talking to them for any sort of transactional reason, whether it's like a boss or someone who's paying you to be there, or like your in-laws or your uncle who, you have to be nice to or something. And I think one of the things that the film is getting at is that, and a lot of Soderbergh's films get at, because he depicts sort of a transactional intimacy in a lot of his movies, is the way that there's always an angle, even if the angle is, it's not nefarious, but everybody has sort of people have goals when they're interacting with each other.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think one of the things I appreciate about the movie is that it's not judgmental about that at all.
Yeah. I just wanted to read because our guest kind of already summed it up very nicely, but you articulated something that Soderbergh basically said about Sasha Grey, despite, I think this is sort of a recurring theme in many of the reviews of the film, especially sort of like middling reviews talking about this flat affect thing. But Soderbergh in The Guardian said, I wanted somebody who in sexualized situations feels totally in command and powerful. Grey's presence is magnetic, partly because of a sense of controlled yet indulgent distance. What a lot of people might see as a problem, I felt was crucial to the core of the movie. This sort of disconnected quality. A lot of people are like, she seems really kind of flat. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, I mean, he also seems kind of flat,
sure,
as well
in his encounters with people.
Yeah, in interviews and stuff.
Yeah. So I think both of you guys are articulating this sense of like, this is part of her persona, and it is somewhat unique to her in sort of how boldly she expresses it. But also, like you're saying, I think the theme of the film, and I'm curious what you think, Amos, but one of the interesting things for me about sex work is the degree to which it reveals the weirdness of non-sex work encounters, whether those are sexual encounters or just like conversations or whatever, right? The sort of like, well, people will try to separate sex work as like, well, this is artifice, as if all the rest of the world's encounters don't involve artifice somehow.
Completely. I love that you said that. I really don't think that there's a massive difference here. It's just that people can't wrap their heads around what it might be like to like put themselves in that situation. Right. But like most conversations are transactional, right? You are pretending to be somebody to get the affection or the money or the security of another person often. And I really like how this film makes a non-editorialized or non-like on-the-nose comparison between the sex work frame of mind and personal training, which is selling your body in an entirely different way that's socially acceptable. But there's no real difference. You're marketing yourself. You're having to be like, here's what I can offer you. You're getting rejected.
Yeah, the worst degradation in the film to me is all around this personal training stuff. I was so bummed out watching that, dude. Yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah.
And like, I just want to also point that out that like people also, they always feel like sex work is quote unquote degrading. But like, have you worked in a fucking restaurant?
Right. Yeah. So I really recommend this book to listeners called Playing the Whore by Melissa Gira Grant.
Oh,
really terrific book.
Yeah.
But she quotes journalist Sarah Jaffe in there, who literally says, nobody ever tried to save me from the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
But like, there's all these comparisons, people talk about sex work as coercive. And obviously there is that is an element of some of the people in the sex industry, but we're all coerced to work a job. Many people are coerced to work horrible jobs. I was reading an article on Tryst by an author who goes by Mary Mother of God. That's her pseudonym on there, who talks about how the biggest industry in trafficking and human trafficking is agriculture. If you want to talk about ending human trafficking, like agriculture is by far the place to start, just numbers wise, rather than sex work. And it's sort of, if you look into this is sort of like leftist position on sex work 101, but like We're all being exploited. We're all having our bodies sort of mined for value by some guy. I mean, most people don't like their job, I think is probably safe to say. I think I've heard of more, just anecdotally, more sex workers who are fulfilled by their work than like bank tellers, for example. I don't read a lot of bank tellers' blogs or whatever, to be fair, but and you know, from my limited research, it does seem like the solution to people being coerced into sex work looks a lot like the solution to basically every other problem we talk about here on the show, which is like better access to job and food and housing and your mental and physical health needs.
Your job,
yeah.
Right? Having that stuff taken care of first.
So once people's needs are met, then the only people who will be left engaging in sex work are the people who want to do it for whatever reason. And same with every other industry. And so it's really, you know, we talked about this on our episode about traffic, but like the drug problem is really a basic needs problem. The issue of people being coerced into sex work is a basic needs problem. And also there's just so much like mystery. I guess you brought up degradation. Like there's the idea of this work is essentially degrading and like more degrading than whatever shoveling shit at the horse stable. It is just like culturally derived ideas about sex, right?
Well, there's no universal definition of degradation that everyone agrees on. Like everyone has a different opinion of what they find degrading. Like my degradation might be someone else's empowerment or vice versa. Like I've certainly done things that I find immensely pleasurable that other people would be like, that's the most degrading thing in the world. And it was like life-changing for me. Like you can't, what the fuck is degradation, right?
Right.
Yeah, and who does it serve to have a blanket definition of degradation? Not really anybody, I guess, unless you're like the social mores police trying to figure out something that makes you feel. I guess the reason to police it is to sort of confirm your own prejudices or something. I don't know. Otherwise, I'm not really sure even what the benefit is.
Whatever, enforcing the prevailing belief about how sex works, which benefits patriarchy and all that sort of bad stuff. Speaking of the police, I would like to include that Grant in her book talks about how people in sex work are much more likely to experience violence at the hands of cops than at the hands of clients or customers, just like statistically. And basically any efforts to police sex work, even if they are based in the idea of like anti-trafficking or like demand side policing, where they're supposedly targeting like the people who are trying to purchase these services, they end up just throwing a bunch of sex workers in prison. Just another anecdote I wanted to share is that the definition, much like degradation, the definition of like what constitutes the crime of prostitution or solicitation in this case is usually defined not by like the sex act itself, but by some preceding event, like discussing the transaction, or like in some cases having condoms on your person is like grounds for arrest, which means in the first case, in the discussion context, that means a lot of silence, a lot of people not talking about their experiences, not building community because of for fear of arrest. And then in the condom situation, then you just have a lot of people afraid to walk around with condoms on them, whether they are engaged in sex work or not, which is like the negative consequences of that are obvious. And especially trans women and like trans presenting people are more likely to just be picked up walking down the street, because being trans is in the eyes of cops like tantamount
circumstantial evidence
to hustling. And so then you have like trans people in economically disadvantaged neighborhoods who are afraid to carry condoms on them, which is just like obviously a bad thing. We should reorient how we're trying to address the problem of people in sex work who don't want to be there. Certainly cops are not the way to do it.
You should run for president.
Thank you so much. I have some
Absolutely
posts.
disagree.
I have some
Extremely
posts
hard
that
disagree
are
on this.
Gonna come up.
Yeah.
You know, I see Zoran doing all the vertical video shows. I'd love to go on he just did the Bodega Cats show. I want to be on the Bodega Cats show. I want to be at the Pink Pantherist concert and have everybody go crazy. But I got these posts that I've made that are just disqualifying.
Forbidden posts. Yeah.
They're just, you can't say as much stuff about, mostly, intestinal stuff, but I feel like that would come up and it would
make
just
you,
be,
you could never be
bad.
a traditional strong man. That's for sure.
No. With the singlet and the barbell with the orbs. Remember how there's spheres? The old strongman?
Yeah, of course. The Strata style. Gira Grant, I became aware of because she wrote, I think, a lot about Fasta Sesta when that was sort of like the talk of, whatever, saving people from sex trafficking while also putting people in worse circumstances in reality. So I guess for our guests, I'm curious, are there either aspects of the film or aspects of your experience that have illuminated for you, like, the things that actually put people in danger? I think in the film, I'm thinking of this sort of like creepy critic guy, the erotic connoisseur, who sort of like leverages his position basically like in a business context. So yeah, do you think the film does a good job of trying to find like the real threats? Do you think it does a mediocre job? Where do you think that stuff exists for you?
That's a really good question. I would like the creepy connoisseur review guy. That seems like a dated New York type thing. Like I do not think that is
message
common.
boards.
No, or like the fact that you have to like fuck them to get a good review. Like I'm sure that has existed, but nobody that I know like contemporarily has ever had to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think that it did a good job of highlighting the tension between needing to market yourself and stay safe in the aughts, specifically in New York, which I guess is like, a very new culture to me. I've never done that shit. But there was a lot of men who were like preying on her, like, you don't understand what I could do for you. Like I could take you to Dubai, like that. Like there's a lot of people who were like, you give me something and I'll give you something.
Right. Beyond the like very clear transaction of what they're actually paying for.
Yeah, or even just like pressuring her about her website because it seems like they're sort of saying like, I'm the only one who can do this for you or something.
Right.
Yeah. So I honestly have not had any of those experiences, but I think that the film did a really good job of, in a kind of subtle and like not beating you over the head way, of what it is like to try to market yourself and have a public presence while putting yourself in danger at the very same time, which is an extremely tenuous dance. It's not easy. And like now, 2025 is a very different time than 2009.
Of course.
Like most sex workers like are on Twitter, right? And like these platforms provide the advertising, right? Where erotic review sites aren't quite as big of a thing anymore because of Sesta Fosta. Like Backpage is gone. There are some sites that are still up, but I don't think that a lot of people read them in the same way that they used to. I also wish that the film, I don't wish that the film had done this because this was this person's experience in the film, but often there are like more social safety networks that sex workers have. We have like friends, we have like places that we go to like share stuff about clients to keep each other safe. That's a thing that exists contemporarily, but this person was kind of a lone wolf. Like she's kind of acting alone.
Yeah, she does have that one friend that she talks to, but she clearly doesn't. They don't see eye to eye on there's the personology.
We're going to get to personology.
Aspects.
But yeah, there's also sort of the hint because she says like she doesn't want to have clients who have never been to a sex worker before. And I couldn't tell if that was sort of like just like a comfort level thing or kind of what you're talking about, Amos, of like, haven't been tested by like the Whisper Network or whatever, sort of like vetted by other people.
Yeah, both. I mean, that was probably the biggest, the screening scene. She's screening him.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, you would want to know that somebody is safe. So you would want like referrals from other escorts, right? And if somebody has never been with an escort before, you don't really know where they're coming from. You don't know if they're respectful, if they're disgusting, if they are trying to like weasel you out of more money, get you to do more things for like a bargain or something like that.
Right.
Or if you're fucking wonderful and like somebody can give you like 2 thumbs up, in which case you feel a lot safer to be more giving and like expressive usually.
Sure.
So she's looking for safety, and you do have to do your own screening a lot of the time. You do have to talk to clients who you've never seen before. And ask them what their deal is. You do sometimes have to ask them for their IDs and their passports, which they're reluctant to give you. Sure. Especially today. So yeah, there's a lot of you create your own safety, and everybody has different boundaries with that for sure.
Something that's interested me is the way that because of the quasi or just fully illegal aspects of the sex industry and the like ad hoc safety nets that have been built up, there is a lot more scrutiny and safety going on here than like at a massage parlor or like at like a non-happy ending massage parlor or like a whatever personal training, whatever therapy. Like, you know, there's so much more care that's put into it. I remember once being sort of blown away by the statistic that pornography has one of the lowest per capita incidences of HIV of any career, because like when you're an accountant, they don't make you get tested. Granted, you're less likely to transmit it to your coworkers, but you're not like totally, it's not impossible. You might have a dalliance with somebody from down the hall or whatever. And so like these things that we don't talk about because of taboos or whatever cause more problems than there's actually like we could learn a lot from sex workers in other fields. But
I was thinking the exact same thing of like, this is another instance of sex work illuminating non-sex work, in the sense of like reading sex workers' blogs. It's so insightful to see sort of like their management of sexual health, talking about like basic stuff, showering beforehand. There was somebody I was reading who uses like a 2-hand system for like touching their partner's genitals like directly versus touching a condom and their genitals to make sure, you know, there's not any risk of transmission of disease. But I mean, we compare that to, I think we've sort of all become aware through the internet of like the bleak lack of sexual education about what are the parts of your genitals, or like, what do you need to, if you're a man specifically, do you need to be cleaning them regularly? Stuff like that, where it's sort of like, well, like you're saying, these taboos absolutely have an effect in like, you know, marriages or whatever, instances that just go unrecognized, but because they don't become a part of a conversation or a professional transaction, they don't get any light shed on them, when in reality, there are benefits to sort of saying like, well, in a professional context, you would never allow somebody to have sex with you in such an unhygienic state. And that sort of speaks to what's taken for granted outside of this context.
Yeah, I was thinking also about, there's a woman that I work with who is like the woman in the office who gets male attention. She's the woman who gets hit on. I've seen her be asked out and given phone numbers and stuff. And she's like the target for men. And I was thinking about how like in the very like out in the open, sort of aired out, frank discussion of consent that goes on in sex work, you can say things like, hey, I'm comfortable with you saying, like, calling me this but not this. Yeah. Or like, you can touch me here but not here. But like at my nonprofit office job, like you actually there's no space for you to say to your coworkers like, hey, you can say you look nice, don't call me pretty or whatever. And I think basically because like there's an assumption that would, like, if you bring that up as the woman, then you're I don't know, a shrew or like a feminist who's accusing me of doing something.
Or you're the one sexualizing the scenario somehow, not the male coworker making weird comments. Yeah.
Who like, the fucking, you know, the fundraising gala when she like shows up in, we're all dressed nice. And like, I heard my coworker next to me when she showed up go, wow. Yeah. Come on, man. Yeah. Just be cool. Yeah. So to our guest, I wonder, are there other aspects of the sex work industry that you think other like people outside of it could benefit from, or like broader working culture or just interactions generally?
Oh my God. I mean, like you kind of brought it up, like the negotiation, like the boundaries, like the being like very clear about like what this is. Mm-hmm. Like you kind of have to like verbalize it for a lot of people. Like, you can touch me here. The way that you're touching me, actually, I would like you to do this instead. Thank you very much. I love it when you do that. Mm-hmm. I'm not available for texting outside of the session unless it's $50. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you feel empowered enough to be boundaried and verbal about it, it can really, really improve your relationships outside of sex work, because it trains you what you're willing to put up with. And it trains you that if you do actually put your foot down sometimes, a lot of people will listen to you and respect you and actually be grateful that they know how to engage with you. Because nobody really knows what they're doing. Everybody is just kind of like running around with their heads cut off, like, oh no, what should I say? Oh. So the negotiation, I think, is amazing. The sexual health is very, very high. And also like listening, like sex workers are usually very curious and empathetic people. Not all of them, again, like everyone's really different, but a lot of us really know how to listen to somebody and make them feel seen. And a lot of the time, because we're getting paid to do that, but also because we're maybe like naturally predisposed to do something like this, I would say that my sense of attunement to other people and their comfort level and their nonverbal cues about like how they're feeling has been like immensely improved by a sex work situation in which I am being paid to really absorb them, right?
Yeah,
right.
So
there's that too. I think sex workers are just so fucking great also. Like,
they seem cool.
We're just so funny and so smart. Everything could be improved by listening to us. And we also we predict technological changes. We're very political.
Sure.
Like we get involved. Like we're so fucking into like humanitarian issues, human rights. Like
sure.
Everything.
Yeah, I mean it all all of the factors, the complicating factors that influence discrimination and immiseration and all other forms like impinge on sex workers too. I was reading an article on that same Trist website that we'll link that was talking about Whorearchy, which is sort of a pun on hierarchy that I have trouble saying for two different reasons. But talking about, the sort of perceived level of I don't know, class or status or whatever among people in sex work, a lot like, they talk about how movie stars are higher status than television stars. It's like a higher class version of working. And so obviously this article basically articulated that the further you are from touching a client, the sort of higher you are. So people in pornography who can make money without ever having to touch the filthy men paying for it, that's the highest echelon. And then all the way down to someone doing full service work on the street is often sort of seen as the lowest form. But within that, things like racism and homophobia and transphobia come in, fat phobia, where that this will raise or lower your status. So obviously Sasha Grey is a conventionally attractive, thin white woman who does pornography where you're not in the room with her. She's sort of upper echelon. And all of this was sort of fascinating to me to learn, but makes a ton of sense. And it's also just the way that sex work is sort of a microcosm of everything else, or reflects every other industry, is really fascinating. I don't know. It seems like most of you are bloggers. Is that true? Is that a requirement? Do you have to start a blog when you get into this?
Yeah, you're required to. You can't, before you touch your first penis, you gotta open up a Substack. Yeah, no.
Which is really difficult in the 20s.
Yeah.
But not impossible. A lot of people are writing and blogging and podcasting, sure. But a lot of people are in the general population too. So
sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think even the film is making the point, because Christine/Chelsea, she is also kind of reflecting on her experiences on sort of reminded me more of our protagonists from our last season of the show, in the sense of going through their behavior.
I actually,
in a different way.
You're talking about Paul Schrader.
I am talking about Paul Schrader,
yeah. I was thinking actually about a certain New York City shoe saleswoman.
I see. Yeah, I mean there was a Sex in the City. Yeah, I guess. But to me, it seemed like there was more depth to it. Not that I like Sex in the City too, but it seemed like she wasn't just trying to do sort of fun social analysis. She was trying to get an intimate understanding of the interaction, how it affected her, how it affected whatever. I think in some ways maybe if there is a high preponderance of bloggers, it's because it's a kind of work that invites reflection on interactions with people, right? It's
observation,
a very intimate context. Yeah. Since we're talking about the larger picture of the film, I do want to mention and ask you guys what you thought about this sense of the fact that the most sexualizing interactions in some ways were the ones outside, or maybe this was just the film's choice, but outside of her actual work with clients, right? Whether it was her discussions with the journalist, who didn't seem like a bad guy, but I will say that in the process of researching for this film, every article about sex work or about this movie written by a non-sex worker has weird casts to certain paragraphs in the
it's really weird
article.
Shit. Yeah.
Just like it's just a guarantee that there's going to be a paragraph that talks about Sasha Grey as like this lithe woman without tattoos whose body has translucent skin, and you're like, what are you talking
one of them said
about?
She had the nude body of a 14-year-old.
Oh my God, as an editor, I would cut the shit out of that paragraph. That was so unnecessary. Also we got it, bro. Yeah. Like you made the point 10 times before.
And they also love to talk about like the disgusting fetidness of the men who would watch these films or something,
distance themselves. Whereas the articles written by sex workers were just like frank, social, and I mean these tryst articles you're talking about, it was such a breath of fresh air to be like, oh yeah, there's like human beings who can write about this in a normal way also.
Without being a weird freak. Yeah.
You know what I did also appreciate about the film, just like as a side note, is like her clients mostly weren't disgusting. They were just like some men, right?
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
There's very little sex in the movie.
Yeah, totally. There's actually not always sex in sex work. You guys seem very up on things. You know that. Like the final scene, the guy he wanted just touch in an intimacy thing, right? He's somebody who didn't get that because of his religion, likely. But clients are not all disgusting. They're not all people who can't get it in their everyday lives. There's a variety of reasons why they would come to see you, and like certainly some of them are gruesome and ogre-like, and some of them are fucking hot. It's and with every spectrum in between.
Maybe we can add that to the list of ways that sex work illuminates this like range of what is sexual or intimate contact. I think sex workers write about this a lot, right? The sense of like my understanding of what people need in this very, very broad category is open, whereas in like a traditional het relationship, people might have a very, very fixed. Now maybe it's expanding slowly, but it's sort of like PIV sex, that is sex. And it, seems like we could all benefit from having a broader definition where maybe a very intimate hug, whether that is because of religious limitations or whatever,
Sometimes sex is when two men find themselves editing the same Google Doc in preparation for a podcast. You didn't expect anyone to be here. I wonder what each of you thought of the, to be honest, Ian, I'm less interested in what you thought of this. But the sort of climactic, what accounts for a climax in the film, the kind of blurring, the confusion of lines where Chelsea, I think mostly through personology, through her sort of like birth date based like astrology system, she finds herself drawn to this client and breaks her own rule about going away, and then he lets her down in a way that is kind of, he just realized he wanted to be with his family. It's kind of shitty, but also like not monstrous. I wonder what, mystery guests, especially what you thought of that. Is that the sort of thing that's kind of a tired cliche in movies about sex work? Is that a realistic depiction?
I actually liked this because it flopped the cliche. It was the sex worker catching feelings for the client and the client being like, thanks, but no thanks. This happens. This is a real thing. It's sex work is no different than any other part of your life where sometimes you meet somebody and you're like thunderstruck and you get that feeling and you're like, oh God. And like the fact that you're engaging in sex with somebody doesn't actually increase or decrease or have any effect on that. It's just that some people have chemistry, and certainly the idea that you could be swept away by somebody who has money and access to a certain lifestyle and you actually like them is a very attractive one.
Yeah.
I have two friends who married clients that they had, and it's rare, but it happens. Sometimes you fall in love. Is it
working out thus far?
Totally.
To this point? Okay.
Totally.
Cool.
And for two people who might really get off on intimacy, it's like meeting somebody in an incredibly vulnerable way. It can be like hot for a lot of people, right? It doesn't happen all the time, but I loved how imperfect the character was with that. Like, oh my God, breaking your own boundaries is such a fucking thing, right? You set a boundary. And a boundary can be black and white, and it really can be so mushy, especially when money is involved, right? And there's a dollar amount that will make you be like, what boundary? Like, let's go. you know? So I loved how human she was. She handled that really imperfectly. She was really naive. Her boyfriend was correctly like, are you fucking serious? You met this dude today and he has a family? Yeah. Are you for real? And she just was such a fucking human vertebrate being that she fucked that up so badly. So like, that's no different than somebody getting ghosted by an unavailable avoidant person on Tinder. Like it's just people are people with feelings, and that for sure fucking happens.
Right. The inter-office flirtation where one of you is like, let's fuck it, let's blow up our lives. And the other person's like, I don't know, I think I was just flirting with you.
Literally.
Yeah.
I look, I'm happy to hear this. I was also sort of initially a little bit trepidatious if this was going to be like a secret way to moralize about sex work of like, are all sex workers just dreaming of whatever escaping? But I didn't get that feeling. I felt much the same way, mystery guest, because it felt like, even though I thought the boyfriend was kind of a prick and the actor wasn't my favorite actor in the movie, but this was a moment where it did feel like he was right of not, I mean, he was also being an asshole in their argument, but the specific point he was making about like, well, this in our relationship, this was a rule we had, and this is a rule that you said you had for yourself. And it does seem like, you know, the multivalence of the title as the girlfriend experience, not just for the clients, but maybe something that can be occasionally confusing. I think you said it in a way that I've heard from other sex workers of like, mostly it's not authentic connection the vast majority of the time, or it's a different version of authentic connection, but it's not like romantic attraction. But then sometimes it is. And we could say the same thing for Chelsea, right? Or Christine, where most of the time she's providing the girlfriend experience. And then maybe once in a while she's having the girlfriend experience where specifically she talks about not having felt that way with Chris for a long time, which I think is a classic long-term relationship thing, right? Of like, you don't feel heard anymore and you don't feel like the person's really interested in your ideas or your experiences. And suddenly she was able to get that in this client context and it confused her. And you brought up the fact that there's like a money amount for some of these things. A Soderbergh film that Jake and I enjoy, which most people in history have not enjoyed, is this film called Full Frontal. Which has a masseuse character in it who is asked to give a hand job, even though she has a role, but she's not a happy ending masseuse. She's just a traditional masseuse. But David Duchovny, who's kind of like a creep producer guy, offers her $500, and she is sort of like, for her, that's her.
He's the rare hot creep.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's one guy. Yeah. And it's like a really upsetting scene, and I was thinking about that movie during this film. I was thinking about a number of Soderbergh films because, of course, he goes on to make Magic Mike, which is also about intimacy and desire as transaction. And this film kind of feels like a dry run for that almost. That film is a lot hornier, I think.
Oh, yeah.
But it's, that's another movie where like every interaction you can see the goals of the participants, even outside of the strip club. And I did want to talk just briefly about Soderbergh kind of as Chelsea, or like the way that I think he is identifying with this character in a way that a lot of male directors typically don't. There's an interview with Soderbergh that's in the like this collection of interviews with him that we've referred to before. It originally appeared in Filmmaker magazine in 2009. With the pretty good headline "Stimulus Package." I'm gonna be honest, it's about
which is a joke. It's a joke made in the film. He's like, we need to worry about stimulating our packages.
But it opens with sort of a brief overview of the relationship between cinema and sex work, and he talks about David Mamet studying the job of television writing to learning to become a prostitute. Béla Tarr, who's a Hungarian filmmaker, once declaring that, quote, filmmakers act like prostitutes. Federico Fellini saying, quote, cinema is an old whore like circus and variety who knows how to give many kinds of pleasure. And so this is often like filmmakers who are using this metaphor to like be self-deprecating and talk about how their art form is like low class or whatever. But I think Soderbergh is not doing any of that. First of all, the title obviously refers to like a real term, a real type of sex work, the girlfriend experience. But notably, the last movie he made in this deal with Mark Cuban, Bubble, was marketed as a Steven Soderbergh experience.
Yeah.
Like that was like the tagline. So
Bubble,
there's that angle.
Bubble extremely present in the film, visually, in the dialogue, all sorts of stuff.
And like non-professional actors and everything.
Yeah.
But I think also like so many of the people in the movie who are her clients are in the film industry because they're like literally his manager is one of the clients, his real life manager. Some of the like Zizzo, the guy who's the main client of the personal trainer boyfriend, he's like a music supervisor guy who knew the screenwriters. The erotic connoisseur is played by Glenn Kenny, who's a film critic.
Yeah.
So he's a film critic playing an escort critic. And so I think he's like relating to, and he often talks about, like you said, mystery guest, like the way that sex workers are on the cusp of technological change. Soderbergh is often on that same cusp. This was shot on a digital camera when that was still pretty new. It's got this weird distribution strategy. He is one of the few directors who has like a pretty robust website that he updates. And he's on like, he's done social media stuff and like did YouTube content during the lockdown, although that was mostly to advertise his liquor brand, but still he's diversifying.
Yep.
And so I think there's a way that he is relating a lot more to her than, a Fellini would. And when Fellini made movies about sex workers, but no one's going to confuse them for like a director stand-in. They're usually like an object to be lusted after and maybe humanized, but like, I think Soderbergh sees a lot more of himself in Chelsea than any other character. I don't know if Ian, you picked up on that, or mystery guest, you have any thoughts?
It's hard for me to answer that because I don't know anything about him, but I do like the way that he handled the industry and the profession and the characters, and it didn't seem it didn't have the same sort of kind of like disgusting and like creepy feeling male gaze that a lot of sex work movies do. Right. I think, again, everybody will have a different view of this film than I will, but to me it had a similar tone to Anora in which it felt pretty empathetic, even though that the character herself was so cold as if to not inspire empathy. Right. It conveyed like a remarkable lack of judgment. And you can also just see that in the fact that he didn't make it sexual. It wasn't a horny film. Yeah. This wasn't to get you off. It was to tell the story of like a couple of days in the life of a woman who does this job. And yeah, those days are often disappointing and kind of cold and dreary, and nothing really crazy is happening. So
yeah, he does a thing that I often associate with movies from female and femme directors where like characters' bodies are often cut off or like obscured. Like we're not there's a lot less display in this film. Obviously she's naked for like one part of it, but like in many of the scenes, like obviously everyone's fully clothed, or like a fountain in the way. Yeah, there's a server out of focus or something.
Yeah.
Which I think just speaks to your point about like not sexualizing or not hornifying the movie.
No, so many of the shots were almost pedestrian in the way that they conveyed her. Like the fight scene when they're like breaking up and she's sitting on the floor and she is like obscured by the couch and it's kind of like zooming in, right? Like it was so uninterested in making her like this lust item. It was more about the emotion in the room than even her,
Yeah, which is, especially transgressive because I think she's one of the people you can see the most of if you want to in other contexts based on her work in porn. Like this is not a person who has not been photographed from any conceivable angle. So here she can kind of be like obscured.
And also she is an obscure and opaque character. So I appreciated Soderbergh's the way he blocked the shots, if that's the correct term to use.
That's what,
Sure, yeah.
He's never giving you all of her. Like she, even in the scenes she's the most nude, she's not actually nude. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Right. She's wearing lingerie.
Like heavily shadowed. Or, yeah.
Like,
she's
unless I missed something.
Inaccessible.
No. Yeah. I think you're totally right. I mean, thinking of Soderbergh as also feeling like we've talked a lot about, and I know I've repeated this line many times about sort of like adjusting his approach to the circumstance or like the effect that he thinks the audience is going to want. I don't, this might be up there in terms of us seeing him borrowing elements of things that he's sort of like tried out before. Bubble, obviously, he's using some of the same sort of like montages of the environment and exactly what you're talking about, Mr. Guest, of sort of like pushing the characters back into the scene so that it's almost more about the sort of the whole ambiance more than just like this single person, right? We're
documentary feel.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it also with Che Part 2, which I think has in common the sense of Che Guevara, this person who is like a monumental figure of history. And even in Part 1 of the film gets some more close-up attention. But in the second film, he's like totally lost in this cold sea of factors and people and nature and all these things that sort of like wash out him as a single person. I think we get a lot of the same stuff here. At least I felt that we did. And I think it's, I think it's interesting that a film, I agree with you that in other contexts would be trying to get us as close as possible or pretend that like we're in her head, like we really understand what's happening to this person. I think most of the film is doing the opposite. And he cites Red Desert and Cries and Whispers, like an Antonioni film and a Bergman film as influences. And I think the main thing it seems like he's drawing from there is like, well, what if somebody was having an intense or a series of intense emotional experiences? Part of that being alienation, part of that being like anxiety, passion, all mixed together. But what if we didn't really have access to that? But like we were trying to see it from afar. And even though I think there are elements that don't quite hit in this film, I think when it's working the best are these like interactions in, you mentioned the final encounter, her walking into this diamond store where there's so much like environmental storytelling about this. They obviously have an ongoing relationship and they have all these boundaries set up that they don't have to articulate. We can just tell they're like, obviously.
Yeah, it's very warm.
It's
like it's a very kind, like
it's warm, but it's really defined,
scene.
Right? As they say in the film, like sometimes having boundary and as our guest said,
I mean,
like,
that's the warmth that I mean. There's like a safety between them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That scene was so beautiful because it also just like as much as the client gets something out of you, you sometimes get something out of the client. And intimacy is intimacy. And she had a really shitty time with the other client that, like, you know, perhaps her boyfriend left her. I couldn't tell. She felt alone at the end of the film. And like, you could feel that like she was being taken care of by this embrace and her own removed in like strange way. This is a two-way thing. It's really difficult for even the iciest of people not to let a little bit of that intimacy in, even though it's not, you're not getting it in like a standardized way. So I don't know, like she felt like she needed a hug and she got one and like in her own way. Like,
and like the kindness of just like respecting somebody's boundaries, like just reaffirming like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna go beyond what we've agreed on, can be like a kindness as well.
Yeah.
And contrast that with the sort of full frontal style camera work of the private jet with these dudes, which was also like a true nightmare to me, which I think is visually, just like, there's no humanity in it. They're just like this mixed up potion of greed and sort of like macho callousness and all this stuff that's mixed in there.
Where's Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, when you need him? You know?
Great question. Yeah.
Kidding. That's allegedly parody. As we're sort of winding down here, Mr. Guest, I wonder, do you have any sort of final thoughts on the film?
Yes, my thoughts are that I am surprised that it was so poorly rated. And I don't really understand that. I don't know. Maybe people were upset that there was no sex in it, or Sasha Grey wasn't like punched me in the stomach, or like, I don't know what they expected, but like, listen, I thought it did a fantastic job of demonstrating the mundanity and the imperfection in working in intimacy. And it actually felt pretty fucking sensitive. And I liked it. Was it the best movie I've ever seen? Did it juice my emotions? No, but how could have it with that as the main character, right? It wasn't a Paris, Texas for me, but it was pretty fucking accurate, in which like you go about your job doing things And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Most of the time it's kind of mundane and you don't really feel any particular way. And then you kind of fuck up as a person and then the movie ends. Like it is
right.
what it's pretty fucking close to reality, I would say.
Yeah, I think it's great as well. And I do think a lot of the negative reviews were, yeah, as you said, probably either like blue balls from viewers or like, you know, misogyny. I think Owen Gleiberman in the Entertainment Weekly, who's often a putz, referred to Sasha Grey's performance as like Barbie-like and plastic, which, like, first of all, that's her whole thing, is that she's not Barbie-like. Yeah. So keep up with pornography trends. But also, like, she is at a remove intentionally in ways that like other Steven Soderbergh characters have been. Ian, I think bringing up Che is a great point of mystery guest for the context. The film Soderbergh did immediately prior to this was a 4.5-hour biopic of Che Guevara starring Benicio del Toro. And I think the performances are very similar between the two of them. So Owen Gleiberman, you know, come on the show so we can fight you or whatever. But yeah, thanks for it. Ian, final thoughts? Yep.
I also liked it a lot. And I think to me, people sort of treated it as this like divergent entry in his filmography when, to me, all the pieces were like really front and center. The bubble, the full frontal, even sort of like the Ocean's 13-y like lusciousness of certain scenes with like all the yellow lights and stuff. Yeah, the reds in a lot of the like restaurants and lounges and stuff look a lot like the casino in Ocean's 13. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And to combine all that, I think like both you guys stated really well in this sort of removed story seemed to maybe disarm people. I think you could say that maybe even the most representative dialogue in the film is something like the personal trainer talking to the owners of a outdoor store, trying to convince them to put his little like pants or whatever he's making. I don't know if we even know what it is, where he's like, they can be on consignment. And like, I mean, that to me is like for the holiday season. Yeah. So that is as much a part of this story, telling about Chelsea and Christine, as anything, right? Like that is the most degrading shit I can imagine. There's no amount of money I would take to or you're negotiate with a store to take my hoodies. Your kind of boss at the gym that you contract at saying like, you don't wear the uniform or whatever. You don't wear the shirts. Yeah. So I'm a fan of the Soderbergh 77-minute film where he's trying to say like a few things and does it really, really well. And, you know, maybe again, there's some conversations that didn't hit, but for me in a film with semi-improvised dialogue, that's kind of inevitable oftentimes. And I think the cool improvised stuff was so great that I don't mind. And it seems like it all paid off for me. So I liked it a lot. Yeah. 2 thumbs up. Yeah. Speaking of which, Roger Ebert in his review claimed not to have seen Sasha Grey's porn films before this, but was interested to see them for the acting. I mean, to his credit, not famously a man who was shy about having watched pornography in his life. Yeah, so he was a pretty comfortable breast man, so maybe she just didn't come up in the searches. Didn't he write like a Valley of the Dolls sequel? He wrote Beyond the Valley of the Dolls. Yeah. Yep. There is a TV show very loosely based on this film, executive produced by Soderbergh. Amy Simons. It's basically only shares a high class escort who uses the name Chelsea and is in like a big city. But other than that, no real relation. It's like fully scripted, written and directed by Lodge Kerrigan and Amy Simons, who are both like indie filmmakers who have worked with Soderbergh before. Stars Riley Keough, who is in Magic Mike and Logan Lucky. I don't know. We're not going to talk about it on the show. There's too much stuff. You can't make us watch 3 seasons of a TV show. Yeah. You can't do it. We won't do it unless $1,000 a month on Patreon. Sure, from one guy. We also have a number. We have a number for this. I had a final question for our guests in terms of the rest. I think it might be the same final question. Oh, really? But go ahead. Is that possible? Yeah. I mean, this is a type of pornography you and I do together. A type of sex. Do you have anything that you would like to see in sex work films that you haven't seen? Like something that. Basically, my question, I was going to ask if there were other films about sex workers that you like. So how about a 2-pronged question? Excellent question. I have not seen a film in which it takes a female gaze look at men who are submissive or clients. Like there is an echelon of clients that we lust over and that we want and that we fight over and that we like
undress with our eyes. And it's not because they're hot. It's because it's for something else. There's a really complicated, like it's often not from the point of view of desire from the worker. And I don't think that I've seen a lot of films that deal correctly with the desire of the worker or her, the power she has or the powerlessness she feels around certain clients. And I'm more specifically talking about like if they're like, I want to make a film about female doms and fighting over a really particularly good male sub.
That's a great premise for a movie. Yeah.
I really want to do that. Like the reverse gaze and also like the beauty and the devotion of male submission. I would really like to see, and you could put that in a sex work context for sure. But I've not seen it. Maybe it exists.
Well, we have some friends who make movies, so if any of them are listening to this, we'll put the team together, Ocean's 11 style. Yeah, we will act as go-between to see if mystery guest is comfortable revealing her real name, Julia Roberts. And
Anus
we'll take it from there.
Roberts.
Anus Roberts, yeah. And then you mentioned Anora. Are there any films on the subject that you particularly liked or particularly hated and want to vent about?
I liked Anora. I thought it was a good film. People get really upset about certain films because it doesn't express their specific reality or like lived experience. Yeah. So a lot of my sex workers friends who hated Anora were like, that's not what it's like. And I was like, bitch, it's what it's like for her. That's why she's in the movie. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I honestly, off the top of my head, cannot think of a film that I either like loved or hated in this capacity, except for Clute, which is not really that much about sex work, but it does star a sex worker. Definitely. And I thought it was beautiful.
Great movie.
Yeah.
I think Soderbergh also very much drawing from Clute here. So I think that's a good reference point.
Yeah, like the humanizing of a sex worker's life outside of actual sex work is fun sometimes.
Just, having her be like a person and not like a victim or a weird monster or whatever is still rare, I think. We have one final segment on the show. It's called Popcornopolis. Kimmy, what's going on here?
This is Popcornopolis, the segment where we ask our guest, do you like popcorn?
Do you like popcorn? Mystery guest?
Listen, I like certain forms of popcorn. I don't like movie theater popcorn, but if I make it at home and I cover that shit in like nutritional yeast and
Australian
Whorearchy
guest
or something.
Okay, wow.
Something like that. Somebody recently made butter with Frank's Hot on it at home, but like real butter, not movie theater butter.
Yeah.
Caramel
this is
corn.
boundary setting popcorn eating. This is really good. Yeah.
I'm into culinary popcorn. I fucking hate movie theater like stank ass butter popcorn.
Yeah, it makes me feel pretty nasty inside.
Yeah,
makes me feel nasty, and I like it. That's where I'm. That's my nasty shit. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Whorearchy, which made me think about a time that I made something I saw on the computer, which was Dorito Whorearchy, which is basically where you get Whorearchy from the store, and then you get Doritos that you like. I believe I did like a spicy nacho.
Oh my god!
And you like put them in a baggie and hit them with the rolling pin until they're powder, and you just mix it together.
Wow!
Which is great on rice or whatever. But I'm now thinking about putting it on popcorn, and the sort of using Doritos to flavor popcorn is the kind of nasty kinky shit that I'm willing to admit I would do.
Culinary fetishism. That's using like a something from a whale to flavor a sardine or something. It's all mixed up.
It's gluttony. It's a Dionysian gluttony.
Yeah.
So now I might do that later. Ian, do you have any recent popcorn stuff coming up for you?
I don't think so, but I did have a recent Dorito experience where somebody at a restaurant next to me yesterday, I live in Mexico.
Pulled out a bag of Doritos during the meal.
You're really funny. And then got kicked out of the restaurant.
Do you take this?
Not to eat. No, but she was extremely like nagging the waiter, who is a friend of mine because this restaurant's on the street where I live. And he was like, it's not like this dish is not spicy. And she's like, you're wrong. I'm not going to eat this. He's like, no, but it's the best thing on the menu. You should try this type of taco. And she's like,
pre-order?
This is pre-order. She's like, I'm not going to try the taco. She's like, to me, a Dorito is too spicy, so I'm not going to eat this. And then she was just shutting him down. I liked the whole interaction. Everything about it was
politely,
good.
what is she doing in Oaxaca?
I mean, she's a Mexican person, I think, visiting for Dia de Muertos. So
okay.
But it was a funny exchange. So that's my only semi-popcorn adjacent experience recently.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
What a strange person. Very quickly, you're anonymous, so I assume you don't have anything to plug.
No.
Unless there's like a book or something you want people to check out.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having me. This is really fun. If you ever need me again, I would love to come back on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
We would love
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, we might. We've been talking about doing Clute or something.
I love Clute.
All right. Well, it's a date. Very quickly, remember to subscribe, rate us, write a review. Helps us on the algorithm. If you like the show, tell a friend, tell your dad, write a blog. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Podcastiforme. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, or you're interested in co-hosting a two-person Steven Soderbergh podcast, you can email us at podcastiforme@gmail.com. All of this is at podcastiforme.com. Thank you to Jeremy Allison for our artwork. We'll be back in 2 weeks. If you can't wait that long, sign up for the Patreon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.